All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving deep into congestion pricing in New York City.
Yeah, big topic.
It's been making headlines forever, and it's finally actually happening. So we've
Yeah.
got a ton of articles, news clips.
Right.
Let's unpack it all. What's going on? Why should we care?
Well, it's interesting, congestion pricing in New York, this has been brewing for decades.
Oh, really?
Decades. So yeah, it's a city on the verge of like a major transportation shift.
Wow.
It's a big deal and of course, a lot of drama.
Okay, I'm already hooked. Drama. All right, so before we get too far, let's set the scene for our listener. Manhattan, right?
Yeah, more specifically Lower Manhattan. So think about this, a tiny island, 9 square miles,
That's small.
packed with more people than the whole state of Vermont.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's dense. That's got to be why the traffic's so bad.
You got it. And
Yeah.
it's not just residents, right?
Right.
Lower Manhattan has the highest concentration of office space in North America.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you have millions of commuters piling in on top of the residents, the tourists, every single day. Over 1.2 million commuters a day.
So we're talking millions of people, tiny space,
Hmm.
all trying to get to work. I mean, I get why it's called gridlock.
Oh, yeah, and there's numbers to prove it, right?
Right.
Average speed during rush hour in that central business district, so basically below 60th Street in Manhattan, 7 miles per hour.
7 miles an hour. That's slower than walking speed.
It is.
Oh, my goodness. So wait, are you saying people are spending like hours stuck every day?
Sadly, yeah. Actually, one of the reports you sent, it said New Yorkers lose an average of 101 hours a year just sitting in traffic.
101 hours. That's
Yeah.
like a whole vacation wasted just stuck.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Okay, so there has to be a better way, and that's where congestion pricing comes in, right?
Right.
It's been in the news a lot, but like, what is it exactly?
Okay, so basically, congestion pricing is putting a price tag on driving
Okay.
in the most crowded areas during the busiest times.
Yeah.
So peak hours, like it's trying to use economics to change how people behave.
So instead of just complaining about traffic, they're like, let's actually do something.
Exactly, yeah. It's recognizing that driving into the city center, like it has a cost, not just for you, but for everybody on the road. And this idea is not new. Mayors have been tossing this around since the 1930s.
The 1930s, wow. Why hasn't it happened?
It's been a political roller coaster ride.
Oh, I bet.
A big push happened in 2008.
Good.
Mayor Bloomberg.
Yeah.
He actually got a plan through city council.
Right.
Got grant money from the feds, had support from big names, Obama, the U.S. Department of Transportation, the MTA, New York's public transit. They were going to use the money for massive subway and bus improvements.
So what happened? Why did it fall apart?
It got blocked.
Oh, no.
At the state level, there was pushback.
Yeah.
People saw it as like an unfair burden on working class commuters, especially folks in the outer boroughs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They rely more on cars. Public transit isn't as good out there.
So you can't just make driving expensive without giving people other choices.
Exactly. But the idea didn't die. In 2017, Governor Cuomo brings it back,
Okay.
says it's essential to fix the MTA's budget and the city's traffic nightmare.
Even with Cuomo behind it, it still wasn't smooth sailing, though, right?
Oh, not at all. 2 governors, 2 mayors, a pandemic, lawsuits, and then Hochul hit the pause button earlier this year.
This is like a real-life political thriller.
It is, but let's get back to the heart of it.
Okay.
Why does congestion pricing, why does it even work? In theory,
Right.
it comes down to the value of time.
Okay, value of time, I'm kind of getting it, but for our listener, break it down. What do you mean?
So think about it. Everyone values their time differently. Someone rushing to a big meeting, time is money. They'll pay a premium to avoid traffic.
Okay.
But someone on a leisurely drive, time's not as critical.
Right.
They're less likely to shell out extra just to save a few minutes.
So congestion pricing is capping into that difference.
Exactly.
The people who really got to drive
Yeah.
at rush hour, they'll pay. But others, maybe they adjust their travel times or they take the subway or something.
Yeah, it's using economics to nudge people towards different choices.
Okay.
And by charging to drive in those jam-packed zones, you create money that can be used to improve public transport.
So then public transport becomes a better option, more people use it.
Right.
So it's not about punishing drivers.
Right.
It's about investing in a system that works for everyone.
Exactly. And it's realizing that traffic affects everyone, businesses, commuters, emergency services, even the air we breathe. And, we can't forget about ambulances. I mean, when they're stuck in gridlock, that's life or death.
Absolutely. And one of these articles actually mentioned ambulance response times In the city, they shot up 24% between 2014 and 2024.
Wow.
And traffic was a big reason.
Yeah, it's not just a hassle, it's public safety. This is why congestion pricing wants to make things flow better, for everyone, especially people who need to get somewhere fast.
Okay, so congestion pricing,
Yeah.
it sounds good, like in theory, on paper, but will it actually work in the real world? Like, how do we know?
Well, that's where we can look at other cities.
Right.
You sent stuff about London, Stockholm.
Yeah.
Both have had congestion pricing for a while.
Those were really interesting. So, like, what happened? What was the outcome?
Well, good news. Both saw a big drop in traffic after they started it.
Really? So
Oh.
people actually changed their driving habit.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about not driving at all.
Right.
A lot of folks just shifted when they drove, to avoid those peak hours, the congestion charges.
Oh, okay, so it kind of spread the traffic out more evenly throughout the day. What about the people who still had to drive at rush hour, though? I mean, did they end up paying more?
Some did, yeah, but there was a plus side even for them. Less traffic means they got where they were going faster.
Right.
So yeah, they paid, but they saved time.
Okay,
Sometimes even saved money on gas.
so there's a win-win potentially there.
Yeah.
What about the bigger picture, though? Didn't you mention air quality?
Oh, right. London, Stockholm, they both saw cleaner air after congestion pricing. Less cars, less pollution,
So it's not just traffic, it's health, too.
Absolutely. Plus, there's another benefit. The money from congestion pricing, it's usually set aside for improving public transport.
Oh, that's smart. So less traffic, better transit, more people take the bus or train, even less traffic.
Exactly, a virtuous cycle.
I like it.
London, for example, they used those funds to expand bus routes, upgrade their tube lines, even built bike lanes. Public transport became more appealing, more people hopped on, helped ease the congestion even more.
Okay, so they're tackling it from all angles, really looking at the whole picture. This brings us back to New York. After years of back and forth congestion pricing, it's happening. Will it work here like it did in London and Stockholm?
Well, it's hard to say for sure. Every city's different.
Right.
There'll be bumps along the way, but their experience, it gives us some good lessons.
Okay, so what can New York learn from these other places?
Yeah.
Like, what are the big takeaways as they get started with this?
The number one lesson, clear communication.
Okay.
People got to understand why they're doing this, how it works, where the money's going.
Makes sense. Can't just spring this on everyone, right?
Exactly. There'll always be some who don't like it, feel it's unfair, but being upfront about the goals, about the process, that helps.
So it's about trust,
Yeah.
right? Making people feel like they're being heard.
Yeah, and it's not just talk. The other key thing is making sure that money from congestion pricing is used to make public transport better.
Right. So it's not just another tax.
No.
It's an investment
It is.
in a better system.
If people see better bus service, more frequent trains, easier to get around, they'll see congestion pricing as part of making things better.
Right. But even with the best intentions, there's going to be worries about fairness, right?
Yeah.
How do you make sure congestion pricing doesn't just hurt lower income communities
Yeah.
who don't have as many transportation choices?
That's a big question, and leaders need to address it. How they use the money is part of the answer. Got to prioritize those communities when improving public transport.
So things like more bus routes in areas that need them, making fares more affordable, making sure people can actually get to the transit, that it's reliable.
Exactly. Congestion pricing can't just help those who can afford to pay. It's got to help even things out, make transportation fairer for everyone.
Okay, so we're at the edge of our seats here. Congestion pricing's about to premiere in New York. Will it actually happen this time?
Well, from the news you sent, it looks like full steam ahead.
Right. I mean, plans have come and gone, political roadblocks, people fighting it. Is this the time? Is New York finally joining the club with London, Stockholm?
It sure seems like it.
Mhm.
There was that last-minute lawsuit from New Jersey.
Right.
But a federal appeals court just gave it the green light.
Wait, when? Did we say it was happening soon?
It's happening tonight.
Tonight, like in a few hours.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Years of talk, studies, protests, it's all coming down to this.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, drivers entering Manhattan below 60th Street, they're going to be hit with those new tolls. This is huge.
Yeah.
So for anyone who hasn't been glued to this whole saga, quick rundown, how's it going to work?
All right, so peak hours, weekdays, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., that'll cost you $9.
Okay.
Overnight, 8 p.m. to midnight, it's cheaper, $2.25.
Right.
Weekends, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., it's $5.
And this is for anyone driving in.
Almost everyone.
Okay.
Emergency vehicles, they're exempt, of course, people with disabilities.
What about like taxis, ride sharing?
They got to pay too.
Okay.
But they already have a surcharge for Manhattan, so we'll see how that shakes out.
Okay, yeah. So tomorrow, driving in Manhattan, it's a whole new ball game. Do you think this will actually fix the city's traffic problems?
It's tough to say,
Yeah.
Traffic, it's like this big puzzle. You
Right.
never know what's going to happen. But looking back at London,
Yeah.
they did see less congestion after congestion pricing.
Right.
Travel times went down, air quality got better, and more people took public transit.
So promising. But we also talked about, the people who aren't happy about this, commuters in the outer boroughs, neighboring states, they're not thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
Could this, create more problems than it solves?
It's a fair point. Whenever you change the rules like this, someone's going to benefit, someone's going to lose out. It's about making sure the good outweighs the bad,
Yeah.
and that the people who are, negatively affected, they get some support.
So how can they do that? What does that support look like?
Well, first off, that money from congestion pricing, got to use it right.
Right.
Put it back into public transportation, make it a better option than driving. More buses, more subways, cheaper fares, making sure everyone can get to the transit.
So it can't just be about making it harder to drive.
Right.
You got to give people real alternatives.
And communication is key. The city has got to explain this better. Why are we doing this? What are the benefits? What about the people who are worried?
Right.
Transparency is huge. People need to see that this is fair, that the money's not just disappearing.
So we're basically watching this huge experiment unfold in real time.
Yeah.
Congestion pricing, it's not just talk anymore, it's here.
Big moment for New York. If this works here, who knows? Could change things across the country, even the world.
Wow.
Other cities with traffic nightmares, they're watching.
So this is a bold move.
It is.
It'll be fascinating to see what happens. So for our listener who's been with us this whole time, learning about congestion pricing, what's the one thing you want them to walk away with?
Remember this.
Mhm.
Traffic, it's not just your problem, it's everyone's problem. Congestion pricing, it's one way to try and fix a broken system,
Yeah.
make things more efficient, make it fairer, It's not perfect, but it can make our cities better to live in, work in, even breathe in.
Really well said.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll leave you with this thought. Keep an eye on New York. What happens here the next few months, even years, it could change how we get around in cities forever.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe one day congestion pricing will be normal.
Like parking meters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep learning.